Have you ever felt the chilling breath of the unknown on your neck? The kind that whispers secrets older than time, secrets that cling to the very bark of ancient trees? Tonight, we delve into a tale of isolation, loyalty, and a darkness that refuses to stay buried. A story that will make you question every creak in the night, every shadow in the woods. Slow pan across thick, gnarled pine trees, swaying in an unnatural wind. The golden hour light bleeds into a bruised purple, casting long, skeletal shadows. A dirt truck, caked in mud, rumbles down a narrow, overgrown path, its engine a lonely thrum against the encroaching silence. Wind rustling, a distant mournful crow's call, the truck engine fading into an oppressive quiet. Narration. Jack voiceover, a low, gravelly tone, tinged with weariness and a hint of lingering fear. They say the woods whisper at night, that the wind carries secrets, ancient and cold, older than memory itself. I never believed it. Not truly. Not until Bear, my loyal companion, started growling at the trees, his fur bristling at nothing I could see. I came here seeking solace, a quiet place to mend a broken heart. Instead, I found something far more broken, far more sinister, lurking in the shadows. Jack parks his weathered truck near a clearing. The cabin, a silhouette against the dying light, looks both inviting and strangely foreboding. Its windows are like vacant eyes. Bear, a magnificent German shepherd, steps out, his usual playful energy replaced by a tense stillness. He sniffs the air, a low, guttural rumble vibrating in his chest, his tail held unusually low. Jack to Bear, his voice a forced calm. "Relax, buddy, it's just the wind playing tricks. We're safe here." The cabin stood, a testament to forgotten times, its logs dark with age but solid, defiant against the elements. Jack began to unload his meager supplies, each item feeling heavier than the last. His gaze snagged on something disturbing. Deep, unnatural claw marks gouged into the bark of a towering pine near the porch, far too high for any ordinary creature. Jack, muttering to himself, a nervous laugh escaping. "Bear, you been scratching again? Or did a bear decide to redecorate?" Bear, however, didn't acknowledge the question. His gaze was fixed on the scarred tree, his low growl deepening, a primal warning. Jack gently patted his head, a shiver tracing down his spine, and together they stepped into the cabin's cold embrace. Inside the cabin, a fire crackles weakly in the stone hearth, casting dancing shadows that seem to writhe on the walls. Jack sits, a glass of amber liquid clutched in his hand, the warmth doing little to thaw the chill in his bones. Bear lies by the heavy wooden door, his ears occasionally twitching, his eyes never fully closing. On the mantel, a framed photograph, slightly faded, shows Jack and a beautiful woman, Sarah, smiling brightly. Jack, softly, his voice thick with unshed grief. "Almost a year, Sarah. It feels like a lifetime. I needed to get away. Just me and Bear. To forget, even for a moment, the silence you left behind." A sudden sharp growl from Bear shattered the fragile peace. His ears were perked, rigid, his eyes fixed on the front door, a silent sentinel. Every hair on his back stood on end. Jack, his heart beginning to pound. "What is it, boy? What do you hear?" Then, a sound that froze the blood in Jack's veins. Knock, knock, knock. Slow, deliberate, echoing in the profound silence of the wilderness. Jack froze, his whiskey glass halfway to his lips. No one should be here. No car lights had approached. No neighbors for miles, only the vast, indifferent forest. Jack, whispering, a desperate attempt at logic. Probably some hunter lost in the woods, or a prank. He moved slowly, deliberately, towards the door, his hand hovering over the cold iron latch. He opened it, just a crack, then wider. Nothing. Only the impenetrable darkness of the night and the mournful sigh of the wind. Bear's growl deepened, a guttural rumble of pure terror. He wouldn't go near the threshold, shrinking back into the cabin's interior. Jack, against his better judgment, stepped out onto the porch. The porch creaks under Jack's weight. The woods beyond are dead silent, an unnatural stillness that presses in from all sides. The air grows heavy, cold, despite the lingering warmth from the cabin. Jack, calling out, his voice wavering slightly. "Hello? Is anyone out there? Are you lost?" Suddenly, a sound, barely a breath, yet it pierced the silence like a shard of ice. A whisper, almost childlike, yet utterly devoid of human warmth. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Whisperer, though a dry rustling sound like dead leaves skittering across stone. "Jack!" He whirled around, his eyes scanning the oppressive darkness. Nothing. No one. Bear barked furiously from inside the cabin, a sound of pure panic. Jack, muttering, trying to convince himself. "I'm hearing things, just the wind playing tricks on my mind. The isolation is getting to me." But the whisper returned, closer this time, a chilling caress against his ear. "Come see." A sudden, violent gust of wind tore through the porch, extinguishing the flickering flame of the lantern, plunging Jack into absolute darkness. Jack slams the door shut, the sound echoing like a gunshot in the sudden gloom. Bear paces frantically, whining now, his usual courage replaced by a desperate fear. Jack fumbles for his rifle, his hands shaking, and grabs a heavy-duty flashlight. Its beam cuts a shaky path through the cabin's interior. "Jack," his voice strained, a desperate attempt at control. "That's enough. This is too much. We're leaving at first light. We're getting out of here." Then, a new sound. A scratching. Not outside, but on the walls. A dry, scuttling sound, like claws dragging across wood, moving around the cabin, fast, impossibly fast. Bear stood rigid, facing the wall, his body trembling. Bear growls, a deep, warning rumble. The scratching stops. An eerie silence descends once more. Then, from inside the fireplace, where the fire had dwindled to embers, a whisper, cold and ancient. "Let him go, Jack. He was never truly yours." Jack spun, rifle raised, the flashlight beam dancing wildly. The fire in the hearth flickered erratically, casting grotesque shadows. With a sickening crash, the framed picture of Sarah tumbled from the mantel, shattering on the stone floor. Jack stands before the basement door, its dark maw a gaping void. Bear, usually fearless, growls low, then retreats, whimpering, refusing to approach the threshold. The air grows heavy, thick with an unseen presence. Jack, his voice barely a whisper laced with dread. "What the hell are you scared of down there, boy? What is it?" He descends into the oppressive darkness, the beam of his flashlight cutting through the gloom, rifle held ready. The air grows colder with each step, a damp, earthy chill that seeps into his bones. In the dirt basement, the flashlight beam reveals a small, ancient stone circle carved directly into the earthen floor. Its symbols are crude, primal, yet deeply unsettling. In the center, clumps of coarse black fur, burnt bones, and symbols etched in what look disturbingly like dried blood. A faint metallic scent hung in the air. Suddenly, the temperature plummets, a sudden unnatural drop that steals the breath from his lungs. The flashlight flickers wildly, threatening to die. A voice closer now, a dry, rasping sound that seemed to emanate from the very earth. Whisperer, Vu. He was never yours. He was ours before. A sacrifice, a promise. Bear barks upstairs, a sound of pure, unadulterated panic, a desperate plea. Jack, a desperate cry. "Bear!" Jack rushes back up the creaking stairs, his heart hammering against his ribs. The front door is wide open, letting in a blast of icy wind. Outside, large, soft flakes of snow are beginning to fall, silently blanketing the world in white. Jack, a raw scream of despair. "Bear!" He grabs his heavy coat, his flashlight, and without a second thought, follows the fresh paw prints, stark against the pristine snow, leading directly into the dark, unforgiving woods. The snow falls thicker now, swirling around Jack as he stumbles through the trees. The paw prints weave erratically, sometimes disappearing, sometimes reappearing, as if the forest itself is playing a cruel game. The trees seem to press in, their branches like skeletal fingers reaching for him. He hears barking, but it's distorted, echoing unnaturally, as if coming from multiple directions at once or from a great distance. It sounds less like Bear and more like a tortured echo. Suddenly, the flashlight beam illuminates a figure. Bear. He stands frozen, utterly still, a statue of fear. But something is terribly wrong. His eyes, glazed over, vacant, reflecting the light with an eerie, unnatural glow. A faint, sickly green luminescence seems to emanate from them. Jack rushes forward, his heart aching with a desperate love. "Jack," his voice choked with emotion. "Bear, come on, boy, let's go, we're getting out of here." Bear growls, but not at Jack. It's a low, guttural snarl directed at something behind him, something unseen. Whisperer, VO, a chorus of dry, rustling voices closer now surrounding them. "Leave the beast. He belongs to us, or stay with us forever. Become one with the forest's hunger." Jack turns, his rifle raised, his breath catching in his throat. A shadowy form, impossibly tall, shifts and writhes through the trees, its outline indistinct, like smoke given malevolent form. Whispering voices, a cacophony of ancient dread, seem to emanate from within its shifting mass. He fires his rifle, the shot deafening in the sudden, profound silence that follows. The shadowy form recoils, dissolving into the deeper gloom. He grabs Bear, pulling him close, his hands trembling. "We're getting out of here, boy. We're going home." Bear finally responds, a low whimper, then licks Jack's hand, his eyes slowly regaining a flicker of their familiar warmth. Jack and Bear run through the woods, a desperate, frantic escape. The whispering voices return, closer, more insistent, a chorus of unseen pursuers. Flickering shadows dance at the periphery of Jack's vision. The trees seem to twist and close in, forming an impenetrable maze. Suddenly, a beam of pure golden morning light pierces through the dense canopy, cutting through the oppressive darkness like a divine sword. The voices stop, the shadows recede, the air lightens, the cold dissipates. They burst out onto the main road, the familiar asphalt, a beacon of sanity. Jack collapses by the truck, gasping for breath, Bear collapsing beside him, panting, his body trembling. He looks back. The forest is still, silent, as if nothing had ever happened, but the memory, the terror, was etched into his very soul. Days later, Uninti. Jack's new house, suburban neighborhood. The house is bright, modern, a stark contrast to the cabin. Jack pours coffee, his hands steady now, but his eyes still hold a haunted look. Bear lays peacefully on the porch, sunbathing, a picture of canine contentment. News on TV, a detached professional voice. Local forest has been cordoned off after reports of strange animal deaths and missing hikers. Authorities are investigating unusual phenomena, advising the public to avoid the area. Jack reaches over, his hand shaking slightly, and turns off the TV. The silence that follows is almost as unsettling as the whispers. Jack, to Bear, a wry, weary smile touching his lips. "Next time I want to heal, remind me not to pick haunted woods, all right, buddy? Remind me to stick to the suburbs." Bear gives a low woof. nudging Jack's hand with his nose. Jack smiles, a genuine, if fragile, smile. He scratches Bear behind the ears, grateful for the warmth of his presence. Final whisper, faint, almost undetectable, a dry rustle on the wind, a promise of return. Until next time, Jack, the forest remembers,